Hi, my name is Carolyn Greco and welcome to Carolyn's Farm Kitchen. This series really celebrates local farm foods and cooking and eating within the seasons here in New England. We have a great June menu plan today. We're starting off with a Chipotle maple barbecue sauce that we'll bake on some chicken. It uses local maple syrup recently harvested back in February and March. So we'll get that going. In a small saucepan, we're going to add a little bit of diced onion. So I love using maple syrup here, especially here in New England. It's such a seasonal crop, and I like to share with people that it is a crop. You know, we always think of crops as just fruits and vegetables, but maple syrup is absolutely a crop that's harvested late winter, early spring, and very regional here. So I love to incorporate it in as many dishes as possible. So very easy barbecue sauce to make. We'll just start with a little bit of finely diced onion. And what's nice is that you can make this sauce ahead of time and it lasts in your fridge for weeks and weeks and just super flavorful. So a little bit of minced onion. We'll add a shot of vegetable oil, so about a tablespoon of vegetable oil to a skillet or a saucepan. A little bit of finely minced onion. That goes right into that. We'll just turn that up just a little bit. So we have garlic. There's a good amount of garlic in this sauce. You could certainly reduce the amount if you like. So a great way to peel cloves of garlic, use the flat side of your knife with the blade pointing down. Give it a good bash with the heel of your hand and the garlic pops right out. So we're gonna finely mince this garlic. There's actually 3 or 4 cloves of garlic going into our pot. I have some that's already minced, but we'll just throw another one in. So when you're chopping garlic and herbs, anything that's really finely minced, I always recommend to get your second hand off the board, keep it safe, right over the top of the knife. And that way you can really just finely chop something as small as you like without having to worry about your hand in the way. Just gonna clean that up, get it a little bit smaller. Notice that the tip of the knife stays right on the board and just sways back and forth. And this is, again, a great way to do garlic, herbs, nice and small. And that is going to go into our pot. So we cook this. We just soften the onion and the garlic. Really just cook it for a couple of minutes until it gets translucent. We don't necessarily need to brown it, but we are looking to soften it and have it just become a little bit clear in color. From there, we're going to go ahead and add some of our liquid ingredients. So we have 1/2 cup of crushed tomatoes. What I love about this sauce, so you have the maple syrup, we're really celebrating that crop. We have soy sauce, so we have the salt, some cider vinegar. So this is our soy sauce. We have apple cider vinegar, which I absolutely love. Sorry, excuse me, it takes a little bit of muscle there. Some apple cider vinegar. So you really can see we have the sweet, the sour, the salty. We have that maple syrup, that local farm maple syrup I was talking about. Nothing but the best. That goes right into our sauce. We add a little bit of additional sweetener with some brown sugar. Not a lot, just a couple of tablespoons. Actually, if you ever have maple sugar, which is a byproduct of maple sugaring, they actually cook the maple syrup down even further. You could absolutely use maple sugar in place of the brown sugar. That was our extra garlic. We have some mustard, Dijon mustard. So you can see this is a bold, flavorful sauce. Again, sweet with the maple. In the brown sugar, has the cider vinegar, the salt from the soy, and then we're using chipotle. So chipotle is smoked jalapeno. It gives a very distinctive heat and nice smoky flavor to sauces and foods. I'm using a powdered chipotle powder. Chipotle also comes canned in adobo sauce. So they're small cans and they have whole chipotles. For this, in place of the powdered chipotle, you would use maybe 1/2 to 1 chipotle pepper. The reason that I oftentimes use the powdered chipotle is that I find when I open the can, if I'm only using 1 pepper, then what do I do with the other 3 or 4 peppers that are in the can? You can freeze them, but I just think it's wasteful. So unless I have a use for all the peppers in the adobo sauce, then I just use chipotle powder, which is great. You can always have it in your pantry. And that's how easy our barbecue sauce is. We simmer this after about 20-25 minutes. It'll reduce down, it'll become nice and thick. So we'll just let that hang out and cook for a second. Meanwhile, we're gonna go ahead and sear our chicken. So today we're doing the barbecue chicken in the oven, but you could absolutely do this on a grill as well. Simple as I just want to sear the chicken, and that's the method of preheating a super hot, shallow skillet. We'll add a small amount of vegetable oil, and we'll sear the chicken skin side down, really just to get some nice crust and color and sort of create that barrier on the chicken. If I were to just bake this in the oven with barbecue sauce spooned over the top of the raw skin, it's going to have that sort of fatty and not good, good taste. So by searing, we're really creating extra flavor, color, and final consistency to the chicken. So season with salt and pepper, little bit of oil. Again, with searing, it's really a dry heat cooking method, so it's important that you don't put too much oil in the pan, you don't overcrowd the pan. If you overcrowd the pan, it goes from dry heat to actually steams the food, and we don't want that. We want a nice crust. So skin side down, and this is still heating just a little bit. Well, we'll give that 1 second to heat up a little bit more. A little bit more. Meanwhile, our sauce is simmering away. And while we're waiting for our skillet to heat up, we'll go ahead and start our second dish. So we're doing a great vinaigrette potato salad with garden greens. I love this potato salad because it actually is not a mayonnaise base, and for a lot of folks, they either can't eat mayonnaise because of the eggs and allergies, or they don't like mayo. So this is just a great olive oil, Dijon mustard based potato salad. So we're just gonna give a quick clean up from here. And we'll keep an eye on our skillet. We're really looking for it to get super, super hot. It's such an important part of searing, so we want to make sure that it gets super hot. So we'll leave that there. Let me just clean some stuff up here. And meanwhile, I have some Yukon Gold potatoes. So Yukon Gold potatoes, nice yellow flesh, buttery flavor. What I love most about them is you don't need to peel them. The skin is not only delicious, but it's tender. And so it's a great potato for potato salad. Save the work, don't peel the potato. We are going to dice it though. Now, oftentimes when I make potato salad, I'll leave the potatoes whole, or cut them into large chunks, and after the potatoes are cooked, I'll actually crush them with my hands. Again, it's just to save a step, but we are gonna dice them for this particular recipe. So anytime I cut anything round, I always recommend to get it flat so that it's safe. So for the potato, I cut a little base off the bottom, and now we can stand it up and safely cut nice thick slabs of potato. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna check my chicken because I think our skillet is nice and hot. Smoking pan, small amount of oil. That's the sound that you want with searing, and that's why I waited. You really want that sound. So we've seasoned the chicken well with salt and pepper, and we'll season again with salt and pepper. When you season high and you see chefs season high, it's for a reason. It's not just for show. It's so that the salt and pepper evenly distributes right over the food, so somebody doesn't get a mouthful of salt or pepper. Again, with the searing, I'm not looking to fully cook the chicken at all. It's going to really cook in the oven. At this point, I'm just looking to develop that nice color, caramelization, crust on the chicken, and that's all free flavor. I talk a lot about free flavor, and those are just little tricks that you can do in cooking that pull the most out of the food. So that's going to just be super delicious to spoon our barbecue sauce over before it goes in the oven. So this normally takes about 4 to 5 minutes. Leave it alone. When you sear, the biggest mistake that you can do is just to keep moving things around in the pan. What it does is disturb that barrier, that crust that we're trying to develop, and it actually cools the pan down, and we don't want that. We want that nice hot pan to give us that nice crust. And a good example I like to use, if we've all grilled and you're grilling a piece of salmon or grilling a piece of chicken on a hot grill, and you go to try to turn it and the chicken or salmon tears on the grill, two things. You haven't allowed the sear to happen. You've tried to move it too soon. So when that happens, whether it's on the stove top or on the grill, leave the food alone if it tears, leave it alone, let the sear develop, and really when it's ready to turn, you should be easily able to flip the food. So the searing method applies, again, to grill or stovetop. Meanwhile, our barbecue sauce is simmering away, and we're just going to let this reduce down to become nice and rich. Back to our potatoes. So I've cut the potatoes, these are Yukon Golds, into nice thick slabs. Get that out of your way. And from here, I'm just cubing them into nice inch and a half cubes. Again, you can cook potatoes whole for potato salad. I think it's a nice, fun, lazy way to do it. And then just squish them with your hands for a really rustic potato salad. But we're just going to jazz it up a little bit, cut them into cubes, and it'll help show off the greens that we're going to add a little bit later. So nice large strips. Remember when you're chopping, protect the fingers, fingertips tucked, thumb always behind the fingers. Nice and safe, safety first. From here, we're going to leave our potatoes, bring it to a gentle boil. We do want the potatoes to boil, stirring occasionally. One thing I'd like to mention, it's important when you cook potatoes, regardless of whether they're cut or whole potatoes, I always start them in cold water. Reason being, potato is a very hard, dense vegetable, and if you really want to allow it to cook evenly outside in. So if you put potatoes in hot water that's already boiling, it's going to totally overcook the outside and while the inside is still hard. So always start in cold water. And from there, you just slowly bring it to a boil, stir it occasionally, and it'll really give it the best chance to cook evenly. Okay. Meanwhile, you can see our chicken is searing nicely. So I'm just going to check it. Again, I'm not going to turn it if it's not ready. It's looking nice. Yep, this is definitely seared. Okay. I'm going to shut it off at this point. I have some that's already seared, but I want to show you that actually went together very, very quickly. I didn't have to move it around. And you're just looking for that nice crust. You can see. I'm going to get rid of this down here. Okay. Just move that. So you can see we have nicely seared chicken. Again, if you were cooking this chicken on the grill, you would do the same thing. Preheat a grill on high, season the chicken, skin side down, leave it alone until you get a nice color and nice crust on the chicken. So from here, we want to add some of our barbecue sauce. Our sauce that we've already made is still simmering, but I want to show you what it looks like. So this is some of the Chipotle barbecue that I've already cooked earlier, and I want to show you the difference. You can see what's in our saucepan is still very loose and light in color. After about 20-25 minutes, it becomes this beautiful, rich sauce. So this is the maple syrup, the soy, the cider vinegar, the chipotle. We've seared our chicken. We're going to spoon the sauce right over the skin. And you can see the benefit of searing the chicken first. Who wants to spoon sauce over raw chicken skin? There's just no benefit of that. So spoon that right over the top. If you are grilling the chicken, you want to sear the chicken on the grill and then lower the temperature. Cook the chicken until about 2/3 cooked, and then start basting the sauce on. Because it's a maple syrup based barbecue sauce, it would of course burn if you put it on in the beginning. So if you're cooking it on the grill, you really want to cook the chicken until it's almost fully cooked and then baste with the sauce on the end. But because this is going in the oven, we can get away with spooning it on top. So this is going into a 375-degree oven. And in the oven, we'll bake that. Total, it's going to take about 40 minutes. Those are bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. I'll baste it again halfway through cooking. But total about 40 minutes, and we'll just let that hang out there. So back to our potatoes. So I've shut our other sauce off. I want to make the dressing for the potato salad. And again, it's so simple. It's about 5 ingredients. I love recipes that are 5 ingredients or less. I think the food just really shines through. So I'm going to take this away. And very simple. We have some extra virgin olive oil, red wine vinegar, about a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar and 3/4 of a cup of extra virgin olive oil. This is where you really want to use a good olive oil. It's a main ingredient of the potato salad. So that's the thing, when you do 5 ingredients or less, they have to be quality ingredients. And that's kind of where farm food comes in. It's really important to have just local seasonal farm food, and you'll have absolutely the best quality. So we have some Dijon mustard, red wine vinegar, olive oil, definitely salt and pepper, so we want to season this well. It's just potatoes and greens. So generous pinch of black pepper and salt. And from here we're going to add a little bit of red onion. So we're going to whisk this together. Again, just oil, vinegar, mustard. While the potatoes are cooking, I actually just finely mince some red onion and I add it right to the dressing. I love it to sit in the dressing for a little bit. The acid in the dressing actually starts to break down and sort of soften and mellow out the red onion. It's a great tip in general when you're using raw onion. A lot of folks don't like raw onion. So when you add it to an acid or a marinated or dressing, it really does start to mellow out. So this is a huge red onion. I'm just using a small piece. You just want that little bit of flavor. So here's a tip whenever you're dicing onion, is to actually leave the very end of the onion attached, and it does all the work for you and holds the onion together, meaning that you don't have to chase it all around on the cutting board. Turn it in the opposite direction and finely mince. It already has natural layers in the onion. Mother Nature's taken care of that, so no need to do that horizontal cut. Okay. Our onion's going to go right in our bowl. Let that sit. Meanwhile, I have some cooked potatoes that I'm going to drain. So I like to add the potatoes, the warm potatoes, right to the dressing. I find that when I add them warm to the dressing, they actually just absorb all those flavors of the olive oil, the vinegar. So add that right in. I'm going to give that a good toss. And again, the hot potatoes just soak up all of that olive oil, vinegar, red onion. From here, I have some farm fresh greens. So here in New England in June, really the crops are herbs, greens, so baby spinach. That's what we're adding today, some baby spinach, some arugula. You could add baby Swiss chard, even beet greens, as long as they're young and tender. The greens are going raw in this salad. So we have the potatoes, here I have some arugula, just giving it a rough chop. What's nice is that not only the warmth from the potatoes, but again, that acid, that red wine vinegar in the dressing really just break down the greens and actually wilt them right down. So I have some beautiful fresh spinach. Beautiful spinach, just finely shred. You want to just cut them coarsely chopped. If you leave them too large, your guests will be chomping on them. So we may just do a little bit more here. This is gorgeous spinach. Really get to know your farmer. Go out and visit your farms. There's probably way more farms in your area than you even realize, and they all have something special that they offer. I love the farming community. Farmers are so generous with their information. They're passionate about what they do. They share their tips and techniques with other farmers, and I love that about farm cooking. So look at that, just gorgeous greens right in with the potatoes. They wilt right down. And these will just continue to wilt as they sit. From here, let me just pop that in a bowl quick. And that is how quick our potato salad is done. We'll give it a quick taste. Have to taste, definitely want to season. That is so good. It's delicious. The olive oil, the mustard, absolutely delicious. The farm greens, and simple. What makes this salad also special is that for the summertime season, you don't have to worry if you're bringing it to a party and you're worried that it might be sitting out a little bit long in the heat. It's a really stable salad with the oil and the vinegar. Look at that. all those farm greens. That arugula is absolutely delicious. Again, baby kale would be fantastic. There's our potato salad, done. That's one course that's done. Okay, we're gonna move right on to our dessert. So we're doing an open-faced strawberry rhubarb tart. I love open-faced tarts. They're also called galettes. That's kind of the fancy term, but it's a rustic open-faced. I'm gonna just flip that. Quick little trick, we don't want red onion on our tart. So open-faced tarts are really meant to be rustic. And you can see we have some beautiful local rhubarb from the farm, strawberries, absolutely gorgeous. So I want to just show you, I've cut most of the strawberries and rhubarb, but just to show you quick, we're just going to add some thinly sliced rhubarb. So this has all been washed. In the rhubarb, we just trim off some of the stem end. Nice slices, ½ inch thick of rhubarb. Gorgeous. It's funny, sometimes rhubarb is green like this, and other times it's bright red, and that's totally based on variety. So it just depends on the kind of variety that the farmer grows. We have some strawberries. Just gonna cut the tips off. If they're sort of smallish or medium, we cut them in half. For larger berries, you're just gonna cut them in quarters. Add that right to that. From here are other ingredients in the filling. So this is just almost like a pie filling, maybe a little bit less sugar. We have ½ cup of sugar. We have some fresh grated orange zest. I love orange with strawberry rhubarb. I think it's just a fantastic combination. Microplane is a great tool if you don't have one. Just a little bit of orange zest. Tap, tap, tap. That goes in. And then we're going to use a little bit of cornstarch as a thickener. So cornstarch is what you would use in any kind of pie or pie type of filling, tart filling, just as a thickener. We're going to give that a toss. That's how simple our filling is. Filling's done. That easy. Give it a good toss together. Meanwhile, I have pie dough that we're going to roll out. So we'll just come on over to the fridge. This is a homemade pie dough that I made earlier and kept it cold. Definitely need to keep pie dough chilled. If you don't want to make pie dough, buy one prepared at the supermarket. It's absolutely fine. I'd rather see you, to be honest, using local farm food and cheating with the pie dough. So that's your trade-off. Okay, we're going to roll this out quick. So I definitely keep pie dough chilled until I'm ready to use it. When I roll it out, the key is not to handle it too much. So I start off just by shaping it and thinning it out with my hands. This prevents me from rolling it or over rolling it too much. The more you roll this, you'll just really make it tough. You develop all that gluten and it becomes tough. So shape it with your hands first. Whenever I roll out pie dough, always think of the hands of the clock. Start in the center and just roll outwards. And it takes a few passes, but you really just want to think of it as the hands of a clock. And it's about a 12-inch circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's the best thing about tarts or galettes, is that they're not meant to be perfect. It's rustic, it's a farm tart. Okay, we have a baking sheet lined with parchment. Easy tip here to transport, fold it in half, shake off excess flour, put it right on the baking sheet. From here, we're gonna add our filling right to the center of the tart. Although we are going to leave a 1-inch border all the way around. If for some reason you let your filling sit too long and it's loaded with liquid, so in other words, if the juices come out of the fruit, you want to be careful about not just pouring it all in the center right here. You would actually put the solids in the middle, save the liquids, and then once the tart is formed, pour those extra juices over the top. Very simple. Just go around with your fingers and make a pleated pattern all the way around. So I'm literally just folding up, show you here, folding up over the previous fold. Again, it doesn't have to be perfectly round. Just fold up over the previous fold, just like that. Simple as that, done. That's how easy tarts are. We have a little bit of egg that we're going to do. is a beaten egg. I like to use egg yolk. It really just gives it color and shine, and we're actually going to add a little bit of sugar to the crust, and just for extra crunch, and it helps to really glue it on. So we're just beating up an egg. There you go. Go right around, brush the edge. That's it, a little bit of extra sugar. Right on the edge, that gives it a nice crust. Yep. And we're just gonna throw little nibs of butter right over the top. And that goes right into the oven. Oops. So this will go into our oven. And I want to show you, I've baked one ahead of time. And this is what it looks like. This is our beautiful strawberry rhubarb tart. You can see it's just nice and shiny and glossy, and all that fruit cooks down. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And we'll have that later with vanilla ice cream. Just gonna put that there. Let's also pull our chicken out of the oven, I guess. So the chicken has been cooking for about 40 minutes. We've used an instant read thermometer to make sure that it's at least 170 degrees in the thigh. And you can see it just becomes all glazed and sticky and beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. That barbecue sauce just glazes right over the chicken. And again, if you're doing that on the grill, you would do that, glaze it at the very end. And we could even transfer that to a platter if we like. There you go. Look at that, the maple, the chipotle, absolutely delicious. There you go. Nice. This is a nice June farm recipes. Early season on the farm, celebrate the crops. Look at that, absolutely gorgeous. Get this out of the way. So just to recap here, we have our chipotle maple barbecue chicken. Jumping to dessert in the middle, this is our open-faced strawberry rhubarb tart and our beautiful vinaigrette potato salad with garden greens. I hope you support your local farms, celebrate seasonal cooking, and have fun in the kitchen. Thanks. We'll see you next time.